So it's 4th of July season again. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the various mishaps that's happened in previous 4th of July years. It's been pretty bad. One of them was literally shooting fireworks at our neighbors, and whoops, that was just entirely our fault. Like, the fuse was sitting in the thing wrong, but we'll get to that. But it starts off with the one, okay, catch this. We had a mortar that, you know how these things are supposed to be a little bit safer than the alternative, which is why you get them, I think, is why most people get these, is because they're supposed to be like you just load it in, you pop it up, it blows up, everyone's happy. Well, with this one, it didn't do that. It didn't do that at all. See, what it actually did was we put it in the tube, lit it, and then started walking away because this was like the 15th one we had shot off and we never had an issue with it. We start hearing this thing spin in the tube, which is bad. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but it's very, very bad when this stuff just starts spinning. It shot up a hole of 3 feet in the air and then proceeded to explode behind us. Luckily, at this point, we were able to get down, so it wasn't, world ending or anything like that. But, problem, we were completely encompassed by purple when this happened. This thing was one of our bigger shots, so it made it to where the entire area that we were in was entirely encompassed by it, including my friend's house, because the problem is we only shot these things in his yard about 20 feet from the actual house, and that made it to where whenever they went off like this, yeah, they just absolutely covered his house, and that was not good. We just started hearing little flakes of the explosive going off and hitting it, and it's just ting, 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 and it's like, oh no, what have we done? Oh, I really hope we don't bust out a window. Luckily, it didn't. Other ones got a lot closer, but this one specifically didn't bust out a window. Now, with that said, this fountain, on the other hand, was significantly more explosive without being significantly more damaging, because, like, weirdly enough, fountains, in my experience, are almost notorious as well for being fairly well to shoot off, fairly well to do. Like, they don't usually cause a problem, and honestly, I kind of prefer them above your average, like, mortar, or even the box mortars that kind of shoot off a bunch of them. Like, I prefer these fountains as a general source of entertainment any day of the week, just because to me, they're like a really nice show. They start their little thing, they end their little thing. They don't really go up very high. There's not much to them, and you can get a bunch of these for pretty cheap. But the problem is that you can get a bunch of these for pretty cheap, and when you get a bunch of explosive type objects for pretty cheap, sooner or later one of them's gonna detonate. And instead of detonating in a way that causes like a bunch of lights or a bunch of pretty effects, this one just straight up blew up in front of us. Like, it was just this big white light. And unlike the first one, there was no warning sign. There was no, oh, this is about to detonate, you need to watch out. No, there was just a boom! And then suddenly everything went white and light was just everywhere, and it was super loud for about 5-ish seconds is what it felt like. It was probably closer to a second. And yeah, no, that one, it hurt my ears more than I think any of them ever will, because it was louder than the loudest, like, little mortar that you could buy, like those little, like, super loud firecracker off-brand things that you can, like, pop next to you. I've had one of those pop next to my head because we're stupid and we used to play, like, mortar wars where we'd throw them at each other, but like, I've had them pop pretty close to me, and I've never had anything come anywhere near what that fountain did. That thing was just boom. It was like a little nuke going off. But when it comes to like loudness and like terribleness, that was the peak. When it comes to danger, generally speaking, the one that I accidentally, the box set, it was a box set that I accidentally lit on its side, because the fuse normally is on top with most of what I've experienced. Normally there's an indicator, or it says like, oh, this way up, or like the fuse is the indicator if it's gonna have that. Like, normally there's something telling you where the up is. Because there was nothing on this box telling us where the up was, we assumed that the fuse was the up. So we wound out putting this thing sideways on accident, and it was pointing at the neighbors, and they were doing like a corn processing thing that they were doing, because again, this was out in the country, so the neighbors weren't like a house per se. It was like a working area where like a group of 15 guys was just working, doing something. I don't entirely know what they were doing. But yeah, but this thing just fired off in their direction like 18 times, and I was stupid and ran up and started kicking it because I didn't want them to get sued. Like, I didn't want my friend to get sued because it was firing at the neighbors. So I ran up and just started kicking it as best I could to get it to stop doing that, which the first kick made it go completely upside down, which was terrifying because I was concerned the thing was going to blow up again while I was right next to it. And then the next kick flipped it facing his house, and it fired at them, which then made it to where it fired at him and his little family. And then after that, we wound out flipping it right ways up with another kick. I say we, but this was entirely me just being stupid. But I flip it up right way, you know, where it's supposed to be, and it only lets off like one shot. Like, all of the shots went at everybody else. It went in the directions that you didn't want it to go for all of its shots except the very last one, which the guys on the field across from us laughed at me for that. They laughed at me for the fact that I was spending so much time kicking this thing and all of it got was one, and I'm just thinking to myself, why were none of you ducking? Like, now that I like remember it, and also while I was at the time, like, none of them got down. All of them were trying to Superman their way through this thing going off, and I don't get that at all. Maybe they were trying to claim an insurance claim or something, but we've never been rich enough to have any kind of insurance that would matter, which might explain why I have so many stories, generally speaking, about these types of things just kind of exploding on me, because, like, yeah, no, that we were very much getting the cheapest ones we could get our hands on the entirety of this. But the next one that we were able to get our hands on that wound out failing on us miserably, it was right side up, and there wasn't like anything that we did wrong with this one, but it was, again, it was one of those boxes that you're supposed to just light and leave, and it's supposed to be like a grand finale type setup, so it's supposed to be reasonably good as entertainment, and normally it is, and normally we don't have too many problems with it. But this one, for some reason, whenever it started firing out of it, it fired at weird angles, and the angles was randomized, so I wasn't able to run up and kick it like I was the other one. I had to specifically just get down and hope that it didn't hit my friend's house and just pray, I guess. Like, that was essentially the conclusion we all came to. One of the shots, though, actually did come pretty close to hitting us, like directly. This thing was almost scoped in, ready to go, because it just fired, and it was like just inches. Like, we could hear it ting off the roof, but if it had been even a couple like feet lower, or a couple inches lower, maybe, I forget how deep his actual like roof to patio entrance is, but if this thing had just been a little bit lower inside of its little sitting case, then we would have all got shot in the face by it. Like, it would have taken us out for sure, and that would have been absolutely awful. Like, I could only imagine what would have happened, because it was a semi-concealed space. Like, we're in a porch, so there would be no up for it to go and no down for it to go, so we would have just been headlong into the explosion and hoping for the best. But yeah, that thing was definitely dangerous though. But like I said, I prefer the fountains above all else, and I'm glad that most fountains honestly have a good track record with like going off, because like, look at this stuff. Like, it's just like, it's very nice, it's enjoyable. I think I moved on from enjoying the big explodey ones a little bit because I've had just so many problems with them randomly going off on me that now they're kind of tainted in my memory, and I don't really want to go out and buy them very much anymore. That plus, as I get older, like I said, I'm more about like the visuals, sizzly kind of stuff, and it's not so much that I don't like the pop, because I do like the fountains that make like the poppy, lighty kind of display, but it's just, I've kind of moved on from it. But I guess leave in the comments what you generally think when it comes to fountains or boomers, or if maybe you're more of a bottle rocket and kind of, you know, bottle rocket war kind of group. Maybe you prefer a big thing of firecrackers. I haven't been able to tolerate firecrackers for some time, mostly because I had a relative that bought like the biggest thing of firecrackers I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's just a big spool of them. That thing went off for like 15 to 20 minutes straight, and I don't think you've ever been around a firework that went off consistently with small explosions for 15 to 20 minutes straight, but let me tell you, it is not a pleasant experience past about the first 3 minutes, and that's back whenever I genuinely enjoyed this type of firework, like back whenever I genuinely enjoyed the kind of explosions and the kind of pooms and pops that this type of stuff could give. But this one just ruined that for me, because it was so long, and it started to make it to where while it was still going off, your ears were ringing. Like, while it was still going off, you would hear your ears ringing, and I was just sitting there like, please make it stop. Just stop it already. And then it finally did, and everybody just let out a sigh of relief. It was so bad. But ever since then, I haven't been much for the small poppers and the small fireworks and things like that. But still, the 4th of July at least is a lot of fun. Hopefully everyone's having fun that sees this video. Hopefully all of you are having a good time with it.